Okay, so we talked to a YouTube whistleblower from Sir Swag. Okay, what is going on at the YouTubes?
As soon as people understand what happens internally, there will be absolute destruction.
Uh-oh.
This was a line said by a former Google support worker, and after a 2.5 hour interview, this absolutely wasn't an exaggeration.
Oh wait, that's a profile pic. Jim Halpert. Okay, former YouTube support.
Ladies, gentlemen, and streamers who were bullied into watching this over their lunch.
Wait, as far as I can tell, YouTube support is an AI which will hand off to a real person when needed, and that real person also only has templated response, which they are allowed to override in extenuating circumstances. It's the only system I can think of that allows one person to simultaneously work on something and it support calls on IT support calls. So basically, you have multiple AIs which will something and you can get a person or something when they need help.
Break. Let's get you up to speed. On the 11th of December 2024, our channel was hacked and subsequently turned into a crypto scam, before eventually being terminated. We would then spend the next 2 months wrestling with YouTube support systems.
Oh, that sucks, dude. I mean, I can't imagine if like your like whenever you make a YouTube channel, this is like, and you decide to start being like a creative, and like you're not, I don't know, like maybe you have like your one main one that you're like strongly emotionally attached to, like sentimental wise, or maybe you have like I think it hits different if you have like your one main channel versus like you have like a bunch of channels. Like once you understand like the formula, I mean, it's kind of understandable for you to just be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna replicate this on many other industries. But if this is like your main one, I mean, shit.
Desperately trying to get the channel back online. With the help of a much larger creator, the channel was eventually restored 64 days later. We had enough evidence of the hack that not even the best lawyers on the planet could win a case against us. But it legitimately took that long to find someone at the company to care. We'll skip all the absurd details.
64 days? Bro, that's like 2+ months. What the hell?
Details of just how difficult it was to get to that point. But if you want the full story, we'll leave a link to that in the description. Fast forward to after our restoration, and we'd then be contacted by the aforementioned former Google support worker. For obvious reasons, they requested anonymity, but we'll just call them Jim. And to say he was disgruntled would be an understatement. If you thought YouTube—
Oh, okay, so the YouTube support person, Whistleblower, that's not even his real name. Okay.
didn't care about—
Because there has been an epidemic of whistleblower type people in many other industries that once their identity gets out of what actually happens in, pick your favorite industry, it's not completely uncommon for that person to miraculously just commit suicide or something like that.
its creators before you watch this, then you're about to realize that it really has absolutely zero respect.
We removed the dislike button to help small creators. So you'll actually listen to small creators when they tell you they don't want this? YouTube. Angry face.
For the people who make videos on the platform. The support worker in question was employed at a company subcontracted by Google to handle its support system, and he worked at multiple levels and positions over a period of roughly 4 years. One of the first things that Jim pointed out after watching our first video was that nearly all the emails we had been receiving from YouTube support service weren't actually composed by
a person.
Human.
Oh wait, let me read. Thanks for writing in, and I hope you're doing fine. I understand that you want to confirm if your channel has a partner manager and you want to know where to find them. However, it doesn't appear that the Google account you're signed into is linked to the YouTube channel that you want to discuss. To protect the security of our partners, we can only provide support to authorized channel administrators. To get support from our team, please sign into Google account that is authorized on this YouTube channel and send us a description of your issue as a new email. We can't discuss sensitive account details here, so it's important that you start a new email conversation with us. Blah, blah, blah. Wow. Thanks for your cooperation. Let me know if you have any questions.
We had been receiving from YouTube's support service weren't actually composed.
Thanks for sending additional info. We highly recommend reaching out to your partner managers so they can provide you with more details on how to potentially regain access to your Google account. Your understanding of our process is very much appreciated.
By a human. As he explained, their support interface was mostly the same as what was available to the general public, with the major difference being a button that can compose an email response on their behalf. Jim would explain the process, quote, "We choose whatever article we need. We have a button called Do It For Me. I just click it, it creates an email here, and it's already written. Everything is written. All I have to do is change the date and check if the address is correct with yours. I press send, and just like that, and it's gone. My case is closed."
Wow.
Tech companies using automated messages is hardly new. And if the
So it's like, it's not entirely automated. It's just like 90%, 95% automated. It's like the do it for me button makes like the bulk of it because it's like an AI thing that has already had a history of reading like emails that from people that have had issues. So it's like, okay, this is like the average response to someone that has a problem, and like here it is. And then all he had to do was just change the date and the name. Okay. But if the only time that someone emails you with a specific problem is extenuating circumstances, then wouldn't you need a person to help in like a detailed way? Or does everybody have like the same extenuating circumstances?
The AI-generated responses were helpful or relevant, it might not have been a problem. But as we discussed in the previous video, this was not the case. In our situation, YouTube's AI bot stated that to verify our ownership of the channel, we either needed to go through our channel partner or our MCN. This was a problem.
What the heck is an MCN?
Start with the partner manager, we didn't actually have one. In fact, after talking to another contact within YouTube, we don't even qualify for one. As for our MCN, they went completely dark at the start of 2020, and no attempts to make contact were met with a
his MCN being shuttered. What the heck is an MCN?
reply. So the two options given to us by this AI bot literally didn't exist.
So they're just going like back and forth?
As it turned out, our MCN was actually owned by the ESL Sports Company, which was then acquired by another holding company owned by the fucking Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund.
Yep. Video game, like Big Saudi is taking over video games.
A few helpful contacts were actually able to speak to people within ESL, and they had no fucking idea they even had an MCN. So according
Wow. Okay, so now I can understand why Sir Swag is absolutely pissed.
According to YouTube, the one shot we had to save the channel was a company at the bottom of the Saudi Investment Fund, which the Saudi government probably didn't even know they owned. The fate of the channel was in the hands of an AI bot which was as dispassionate as it was useless. Jim himself was so confident that this email was AI generated that he was willing to bet his entire yearly salary on it. We should also keep in mind that Swag, being the channel owner, sent YouTube a mountain of proof verifying his identity. This included 5 years of exact monthly ad revenue statements, a 39-page report from a computer hacking forensic investigator.
Holy crap, 5 years of pay stubs and almost 40 pages of verification processes?
And a signed verification letter from the managing director of the advertising agency.
A picture of this, monthly revenue statements going back to 2019, exact files for my flagship series going back 2 years, 39-page report for a computer hacking forensic file investigator. 59 folders of proof pertaining to our sponsored content, a picture of the silver play button given to me by YouTube next to a printed response from YouTube's help service, and a signed verification letter from the managing director of the advertising agency I've been partnered with. So, what is the assumption? This stuff could be faked? Like, is the assumption that all of this stuff could be faked?
He'd been partnered with for 5 years. Not that it fucking mattered, because if YouTube couldn't be bothered to type out a reply, they sure as shit couldn't be bothered to actually read the email. As pointed out by Jim, another really obvious tell that these replies were automated was that they used the fucking hacker's email address when explaining the recovery process.
If the steps above don't work for you, then the follow-up escalation, then file a follow-up escalation claim. Dolgo Holovas PX L 1986 key@mail.ru.
You can even see the Russian domain, for fuck's sake. As Jim would explain, the support workers themselves rarely gave a fuck about reaching desired outcomes. And from his description, you can't exactly blame them. Here's how he would explain his promotion a few years into the job. Quote, "You get a different fucking position, but you don't get a fucking pay rise. That's the plus working for a multi-billion-dollar corporation. You would get a small bonus and stuff, but still, the pay rise was non-existent basically. Overtime was paid 1.5 times the hourly rate.
Yeah.
That's why I ended up working 60 to 65 hours a week."
Damn. That sucks.
It was COVID time. We'd work from home. I'd have an open laptop on my right side and I'm sitting playing Counter-Strike. I played so many games through that time. It was a minimum wage job with horrible hours, a lot of responsibilities, and a bunch of shit to remember. For the pay that they're giving you, you think I'm gonna be a responsible adult?
No. That's the thing with big companies. I mean, maybe not so much with like smaller or mid-sized companies. I mean, it depends. But like gigantic companies, I mean, it's an old argument of like, if you're a worker, you want the most pay for the least work. And if you're like a big company and you're trying to hire employees, you want the employees to do the most work for the least pay.
Not for that pay. The only reason I stayed there was because of COVID, and because it was permanent work from home. It was the worst, best time. I became an alcoholic. I became a game addict. I became a gambler. I became fat. But hey, we're home. That's magic. Jim would also explain that support workers had different tiers based on their responsibilities and authority. For example, Tier 1, the lowest tier, always used AI-generated responses, which is why 90% of the emails our channel received was almost certainly from Tier 1. Tier 2 had a bit more authority, and was called upon when the Tier 1s couldn't resolve an issue. According to Jim, however, it was only the Tier 3s who actually had the power and autonomy to assist a more complex issue like ours, as these were the managers who had greatly expanded authority, although he would go on to comment that they never escalated related cases due to internal policies. Just in case you missed that, we were stuck talking to people who only ever responded with AI-generated messages, had absolutely no authority to help or escalate our case, and had sent us on a wild goose chase to track down a long-lost Saudi Arabian-owned company that may or may not even exist.
Holy shit. Damn. I had no idea, dude, that YouTube was like that chalked.
Just as a reminder, this is 100% of Swag's livelihood, and the only way to get it back was to somehow get through this Imperium of Man-style mega bureaucracy that swallowed everything it touched.
Bro, like, I had an issue with my tax return one year, and the amount of bullshit and like run around that I had to do was like the most infuriating thing I've ever had to do, because most of the time I'm just like sitting there repeating the same story of like over and over and over again. And I'm like, is this what it's like to have like to go through the runaround, and that was for like some piddly like normie like wage tax return. I can't imagine like your entire livelihood being just like up what do you call it, like uprooted, and you have to fight with every last like fiber of your being. Oh shit, dude.
Ancients call this Microsoft Excel.
It's like being trapped in an asylum with everyone insisting that you're insane. At this point, you might be wondering how a YouTube creator would ever recover a hacked channel if they had to go through a support system so dysfunctional. Unfortunately, they don't. Over Jim's 4 years on the job, he saw exactly 0 hacking incidents get resolved, as the policy was to just dismiss the cases and move on. Apparently, this was a pretty common
YouTube, Mr. Beast, small creators, hacked channels. Oh shit.
policy within the support department, and huge glaring problems were often never fixed. Things would get even worse when we start getting into Google's cost-cutting measures, as Jim also acted as a quality manager for some of the offshore support centers. He would go on to explain situations where the support workers themselves didn't even speak the same language as the people they were supposed to assist. They would just run their cases through Google Translate and use AI-generated responses to reply. When asked whether our case was handled by such a support worker, Jim would respond, "From what I've seen, I'm more than sure your case was not touched by a human." Apparently it was too much of a fucking luxury to even get our case handled by a person who doesn't understand English. It's hard to even envision a standard of support any lower. Okay, so you have a YouTube channel and you just got hacked by a crypto scammer. What can you actually do to get it fixed? According to our former YouTube support worker, you have 3 viable options.
Oh man, you bring up a good point, Jake. Basically, he said there are 3 ways to recover a hacked channel. The first is to know someone on the inside, which is basically what we did. The second is an illegal notice from a lawyer. No, not an illegal, is a legal notice from a lawyer. And the second is to just make it too painful to ignore. He actually said skywriting and billboards around YouTube's campus was legitimately a good idea. Oh, wow. That's crazy. So, no, okay, first and foremost, 1, you got to know a guy. 2nd, legal notice from lawyer. 3rd, skywriting and billboards. Jesus.
The first is knowing someone on the inside. Thankfully, we got bailed out by a much larger creator who did actually know someone inside the company. But what if you're not so lucky? The second option is the legal route. This is obviously a lot more expensive. But as soon as you get a lawyer to submit a legal notice, the company's AI sends it straight to the legal department. Google spends more on its legal team than the annual budgets of some small island nations, so they still get to choose whether or not they give a fuck. The third option is to simply have enough clout. You might expect that YouTube has preferential treatment unofficially when it comes to their creators.
Probably.
But as Jim would explain, it's a solidified feature within the company. In his own words, quote, "I think if it's more than 5,000 likes or something, we have to escalate it straight to management. And then they investigate what the hell is happening. That's why outrage on Twitter is a lot more effective than going to the support."
Oh.
So there is preferential treatment. I mean, we kind of know there's preferential.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. I mean, you already said it. Like, YouTube is like so saturated. Like, for like a little tiny YouTube channel to like start tripping up about anything, or like that same person having like a tweet and then it not getting like any traction, is it's just like you're barking up the wrong tree at that point.
Preferential treatment. You could just buy a Chinese bot farm. I would say that would give you like 30% more chance of getting.
Oh my god. So if you're a tiny channel, you tweet out some bullshit like, "Hey YouTube, my YouTube got hacked," and then you buy botted views and like, I don't know, chat interactions or and likes, bot those on the Twitter, and then it'll get noticed from, like, it'll get passed up to directly to management. Oh my god. Oh, bro. How is it this bad?
Getting recovered? Not 100, but you would get eyes of higher management on your case instantly. They're obligated to escalate those kinds of things. It's probably not all too comforting for someone who just lost their livelihood to hear, sorry, you didn't get enough internet points on Twitter for us to give a fuck.
Yeah.
But that's the reality. In fact, when another channel reached out to us after getting hacked themselves, we suggested the Chinese bot farm idea as a first step. Within just 4 hours of posting that tweet, their account was reinstated and he was back online. It's not about right and wrong at YouTube. It's just how much you can publicly embarrass them into giving a fuck.
Oh my god. So anybody that says public shaming is a bad thing, absolutely wrong.
As Jim would explain, YouTube's favoritism was deeply ingrained into its support system, and there were even internal guidelines for what constitutes a successful YouTube channel. You have to have at least 1 million subscribers, and you have to have watch time and stuff. When you open the ticket, we can see how cool you are. Basically, the internal tool that we used would have a sign stating that this is a high-value customer. That had its own tiers like silver, gold, platinum, diamond, etc. In the guidelines, it would state that if the channel didn't have that sign, and we manually can confirm that it has like 100k or 1 million subs, then we should bow to the customer's ticket basically. Putting aside
Okay. So as long as you're popular enough, you can get the shit done.
the fact that channels were being internally ranked like they were queuing for
I mean, but that as shitty as that sounds, that kind of makes sense unless I'm like missing something, because why would random unknown crypto bro try to hack like some random YouTube channel with like only 400 something subs? Like, it's not even worth it for a person to do that, unless that person just has like a grudge against like the YouTube channel or something.
Competitive, Jim seemed to confirm how deep this favoritism was baked into the system. He would continue to talk about cases of preferential treatment. Quote, I wish Mr. Beast's channel would get hacked like this. I would love to see how fast they're gonna resolve it. It's gonna be seconds, because Mr. Beast is bringing in so much money. Jesus Christ. They just don't care. Nobody cares. Higher management doesn't care at all. They only care when it's related to money. You're not money for them. You're a cup of coffee in the morning. Jim would state that this preferential treatment didn't just extend to high-profile YouTube creators. He would recount one story while working on the Play Store team. We had a guy that spent yearly over $300,000 in like 4 fucking games. His account got hacked. He got it back, but the dude who stole his account sold every item in the game. An amount of money that was fucking ridiculous, you know?
Oh my god. I mean, if that person, I mean, in a vacuum, that sucks. But me not knowing anything, I mean, if that dude's spending like 300k plus on like in-game, like video game shit or whatever, then his account got hacked, and then all the items got sold, and then he got his account back, but the damage was done already. I mean, in reality, like practically, it's like he probably has enough money to like bounce back from whatever that fuck that was. And I don't know. I don't really have any sympathy. But like, if it, like, in a vacuum conceptually, it's like, yeah, that sucks. But the type of person that is spending that type of money on a game probably has enough residual money in the rest of their life.
And Google refunded him everything.
Oh.
Because they know that in the long term, you're going to bring more money for them. And that's the preferential treatment that they have.
Oh.
How much money and influence you can bring to them. That's how much they can go for you. I'm telling you, the bureaucracy in that company is so fucking, excuse me, retarded. It's horrible. It's so bad.
He said, excuse me for retarded, but not excuse me for fucking. Like, retarded is a worse word than fucking.
When our channel got hacked, we legitimately considered hiring billboard space, or flying a sky banner over YouTube's San Bruno headquarters to get eyes on our case. According to Jim, this isn't as crazy as it seems. Commenting on the idea, he would say, quote, "That would actually work, because you would set a precedent, and every motherfucker with money would do that."
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's cheaper than attorneys and shit, everyone would start doing that. What they absolutely don't want is to have any direct interaction with you guys. Never.
Yeah.
It's the worst possible thing, because the level of bureaucracy is so high.
Dang. And with just that mindset, it also sets a precedent with that mindset that just use our services. Hopefully everything goes right for you. And if something happens, you're SOL. Unless you got money. That's the precedent. I mean, is that not a great encapsulation of what life is already?
That's why YouTube channel managers don't like doing that shit too, because getting an answer is borderline impossible. It has to go to one person, to a second person, to a third person, till there is a person with the access to that information and they might or might not give it to you. Jim also made it abundantly clear that actually fixing a hacked channel is very easy in a technical sense, but the process to do so is just drowned in a sea of bureaucracy.
Damn.
It's devastating.
Bro, when is Doge gonna go look at YouTube? Go look at that dumb shit. Go straighten them out.
Because there are hundreds of channels that get hacked, and I know that they have the tools to fix it. They have tools to block it. They just don't use them because of bureaucracy. It's gonna take so much time and money, but it will bring no profit for them. So it makes no sense to do it. That's all. That's how it is. Jim also explained that if a Tier 3 support worker actually looked at a hacking case, they could almost immediately identify the hack and restore the channel within minutes. He would confirm that Google.
But if they do that, that sets a precedence of them actually doing their job. And then they will have to continue doing their job at that level of quality. But they don't want to do that because they're already making money doing less than that.
Can access nearly all information about a user's account, meaning the only thing stopping a hacking case from being solved are the company's internal policies. Since releasing our first video, we've been approached by other people who have had similar stories trying to have their own Google accounts restored. One user even told us that after his account was hacked, he lost all the pictures he had of his deceased father that were stored on Google's cloud service. For a company whose motto used to be "Don't be evil," that sure sounds really fucking evil. So just to recap,
Dang.
YouTube support service uses people who might not even speak your language. Reply is using AI generated.
Why does this robot have boobs? Damn. Stock footage robot got me acting. What the hell?
Responses won't escalate account-related problems under any circumstances, and internally ranks users to measure how much.
Okay, this one was for the girl.
They should give a fuck. It should be obvious by now that this is absolutely an unacceptable state of affairs for YouTube and Google at large. If YouTube is going to be so insistent that being a YouTube creator is worth a person's time, then the absolute minimum standard of support should be helping these people when they absolutely need it. Our channel was incredibly lucky to be
Mate, I am meeting with YouTube this week. I have absolutely zero power or influence, obviously, but I want to raise your case with them. Are you able to send me an email with the details and whatever supporting evidence you are comfortable sharing?
Stored after the hack. And even then, it took over 2 full months for YouTube to actually do anything. Let's not forget that as we've established, YouTube can absolutely fix these issues within a matter of minutes, if you can make them care enough. Instead, its default answer to someone's livelihood being stripped away is to just send them down an endless AI-generated wild goose chase that under no circumstances will ever lead to their issue being resolved. Most creators aren't going to have the clout to embarrass you.
Oh yeah, my channel was deleted last night by Linus Tech Tips. That's crazy. for someone to think that they could hack Linus's shit and him not have enough clout to be able to, what do you call it? Be able to yell loud. And what is also funny, I noticed about this is my fucking YouTube algo. I have seen these thumbnails and have watched a lot of these videos too. I've seen Gerber's Void with this one. I've seen this one, the Geopold. Haven't seen this one. Don't know. YouTube is incompetent. Yep. Haven't seen this one.
YouTube enough to help, or know someone on the inside. This means that their best option is to either give money to a Chinese bot farm or spend a small fortune on a lawyer. We didn't just make this video to spite YouTube either, because as much as our experience sucked dealing with their 8 circles of support hell, we wouldn't wish it on our worst enemy. Ideally, we'd like YouTube to look into their support systems and patch these obviously enormous gaps.
But that would take time and effort that they do not want to do.
Not only are a lot of people getting seriously screwed by YouTube's apathy, but hackers are specifically targeting YouTube channels because they know just how useless YouTube is to stop them. YouTube itself is the 2nd most visited website on the internet.
Yeah.
And that fact is absolutely owed to the creators who make YouTube what it is. It's absolutely fucking unfathomable that these are the very same people who have to hire a lawyer or pay money for fake likes on a separate platform to receive even the most basic level of help. With Google's bottomless pit of resources, it would be truly embarrassing if this wasn't a problem they thought worthy to fix.
Not now, Vadi.
As soon as people...
Dang. I had no idea that it was that bad. Hopefully, one day I will have this issue, but that day is not today. But thankfully, you got your stuff back, dude. 100%. It's just sad to see that, like, one of the most popular, like, internet web pages companies has this much bullshit behind it, and how flimsy it all is. But I'm sorry you had to go through that, dude. Just like anytime something shitty in your life happens, that like and you have to do the runaround, it just sucks. But it looks like you got your stuff back. But yeah, good on you, man. And keep it up, dude. I mean, you gotta, anyone that can do that much runaround, I'm a fan of. But yeah. Good stuff. Keep it up, dude. But that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one, all right? Later.